Greetings, beloved ones, and welcome to Words of Light. Thank you for sharing this sacred time with me and for your presence on the earth and for your dedication to learning more about who you are and what the world is about. So I'm going to take a minute now to go to a deeper place so I know what to speak with you about. And you can also close your eyes if you like, but I'm going to take a minute to do that. Well, when I close my eyes, what I feel is the divine embrace, and it makes me smile and laugh inside because the emptiness is an illusion. The emptiness has to do with what words will come or not come. And I think that that happens fairly often, is that we get plugged into our mind or think that the words are the most important thing that we have to share, or think that if we don't have words that we can't meet other people. And when I closed my eyes, that wasn't it at all. What I felt was happiness, laughter, the feeling of being held. So I'd like to share that with you. I would like you to know that that feeling can be yours and that it doesn't have to be a monumental event. It doesn't have to be a monumental event to know that you are held in a divine embrace and that that's always with you. There needs to be a certain degree of freedom from getting bogged down in the dramas of life. There needs to be a certain degree of freedom in order to find this place because it's spacious. It's the difference between feeling sorrowful and feeling laughter. It's that kind of thing. So if you are, or one is, involved deeply in the dramas of life, there's no room for that other thing, which I'm saying is the divine embrace, to, to make itself known. There's no space, which is the reason to get quiet, often to try to silence your mind or to do what's needed so that you don't take things so seriously that you're thinking. We give so much authority to our thoughts to define everything about reality, including and especially ourselves. So it's so much ingrained into human consciousness on a collective level because of our history to value the intellect as the definer of reality. We, as a collective species, have lived like that for thousands of years. So it's understandable why we would do that. But as I've said this to you before, the mental emotional band of thought energy and emotional energy is like that. It's a layer. It's not the whole. It's a layer of who you are. And so if one could, in principle or in practice, not take that layer to be so much the authority about what's really real, that would be a wonderful thing, because this other place is about light. It's about freedom and spaciousness. One of the ways to go there, let's say, to go there, is to give less importance to words and to not think that you think your way out of dilemmas, to not place so much emphasis on problem solving with words or problem solving through your mental approach to whatever the problem is. We, and when I say we, I mean human beings, have spent a lot of time doing this, a lot of time allowing and thinking that our intellect needed to be in control of how we navigate through life. And as long as we didn't have another option, to a certain degree, that was true. It is. And so we have to be forgiving about the level of activity or commotion that goes on the mental level. That attribute, that commotion, has been with us for a very long time. But we are evolving, beloved ones, you know? And those of you who may be listening may already have a feeling that you're not so attached to your thoughts, that they're just there, and that they're there having a life of their own, but they're not you defining who you are. If you're in that place, then you are a few steps forward of where most people are, because most people today are in the place of, I am what I think, I am what I feel. Well, how did you get to think that way? An observer would say. How did you get to feel that way? What was it that happened? And when you ask those kinds of questions, you find out that the thought and energy stream of emotion has a lot to do with the environment you were in and other people's relationships to you and external things that happen to you, etc. And over a long period of time, one could get the understanding or impression that both thoughts and emotions are part of past history. They're reactive to circumstance, they're reactive to the relationships we have with others or the circumstances we find ourselves in. But that's not the story of who you are. That's the story of who you've been, and it's the story of how you've been, as long as you didn't know that there was something else that could be a you, a you. Now the question is, do you know this? Do you know that there's a you waiting to be found that's not related to your thoughts and your emotions? That's related to what I call the divine breath, because you don't do anything except breathe and feel divine life. You don't have to have an exercise about it. It's not a technique any more than breathing is a technique. Well, you can practice certain kinds of techniques related to breathing, but most people just breathe because they were born breathing and they continued without much thought about it. So this other place, as a start, is more accessible when you don't believe that your thoughts and feelings have to be the definer of reality. This is the place of freedom. And it's the place of joy also, that's not dependent on something that's going on outside of you. So I invite you to close your eyes with me once again. And even if you don't know what you're going to find, and even if you right now are heavily engaged with some life drama that's absorbing your attention, all right, that's all right. Let that be there. But try and remember what I said about not taking your thoughts so seriously and going beyond that to a place that feels, I don't think humor is the right word, but it feels like something that has great joy in it. Okay. So I have another way of describing this now that I just have made contact with that. And it's the difference between the mind and the heart. That's another way of looking at it. Your mind can be occupied with the challenges of life and even the sorrows and losses of life, real events, not made up ones. And your heart, and I don't mean the surface layer of your heart that's reacting to events, I mean the deeper layer of your heart can be feeling something that's joyful, even while the rest of you is feeling sorrowful or feeling loss. It's a different strata. You see, it's a different layer of what's possible. And this is very important for us to understand that we're not just one thing, that we're multi layered, and that we can give credence to this or not, depending on what reality we're holding. But the mind and the heart can be functioning in two vibrational fields. It's best when they get together, but very often, because of the dramas of life and the way we get involved in things that are perplexing, we can't change the dimensions of what the thoughts are. So we have to accept it. But that doesn't mean we have to be glued to it. It doesn't mean that we can't look for a place of union where something else is possible, a place that's not troubled by those things. And you would know that, or you should know, this isn't a program that you could say, well, if you get there, then this is what you'll feel. No, it's not like that. If you can create the space to go beneath taking so seriously the heaviness of thoughts and feelings, what you will find there corresponds to the energy of your deeper self or soul. And that energy will feel slightly different for each person because the soul qualities that we embody are slightly different for each person. They're different facets of the oneness. Well, I invite you to experiment with this, beloved ones, to know that it's possible to feel two different things simultaneously. One that is called conditioned thinking, conditioned feeling, related to your past history. And the other is the inner knowing of your deeper heart, which is connected to your soul. You have to create an opening by letting go a little of the attachment to the drama and then see what you find. Om Namo Bhagavate, Om Namo Namaha. I bow to the Supreme Being that lives within all. Namaskar.